Hey everyone, welcome to Be the Change. My name is Lily Mott, and today's episode is about how change comes when you put yourself out there. I am so honored to be joined again on this podcast by the amazing Paddy Crump. Paddy is a mental health campaigner based in the UK, and he is also the newest member of Be the Change Media Network. I am so thrilled to welcome Paddy back to Be the Change podcast to give us an update on his work and his new podcast. So without further ado, let's get started with this episode featuring Paddy Crump.
Yeah, hi, I'm so excited to be back. And I'm a mental health campaigner and I've been using my experience with mental health challenges to kind of campaign to create change and in policy and in the way mental health is viewed in general. So I have OCD and I've struggled with periods of really bad depression. Especially, it kind of was manageable up until COVID, and then during COVID, I hit rock bottom. And for a germaphobe who's scared of harming anybody, a pandemic is like the worst kind of situation. If I could have had a nightmare at the start of 2020, it would probably have been a global pandemic. So I managed to pull myself out of that. There were some really dark days, but I managed to pull myself out of that through the help of an incredible counselor. And after that, I kind of thought, not everybody's as lucky to have that support. And if I hadn't had that support, if I hadn't been able to access a counselor, then I wouldn't be here. So I wanted to ensure that everybody had the same opportunity that I had to get that support. And it kind of boggled my mind that not everybody does, and still now not everybody does. So I got involved in charities that were campaigning to create this change. So I've done a lot of campaigning with Young Minds and Mind, and now um, kind of uh, broadening what I'm doing and kind of trying to target the upstream causes of the mental health crisis that we've got right now. Kind of using my own experience, and then most recently I've kind of moved a bit more into kind of suicide prevention as well. I lost my friend early this year, so as kind of a legacy for her, um, to 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 do that. So yeah, it's exciting. Lots of exciting things I'm working on, but still a lot of the campaigning is an uphill battle, but it keeps me busy.
That is a great place to get started, and there has been lots of updates in your life, lots of exciting things coming out since you came on the podcast last. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity for us to get caught up on everything. And you also have an exciting project that just launched by the time people are listening to this. So I want to talk about that too. It's very close to both of our hearts. So that is going to be really exciting. Can you tell me about your new role with FlipGen? And tell me a little bit about FlipGen, what FlipGen is, what you're working on, and this exciting new role that you're stepping into. Give me the full story.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I think so. FlipGen's a youth-led kind of organization focused on empowering and educating the next generation to develop a healthier kind of relationship with the digital world than our generation. I think is so important because obviously in my role when I do my mental health campaigning, a lot of people ask me kind of what is causing the mental health. Well, why are so many more young people struggling with their mental health now than ever before? And there's a lot of reasons why. I think one of the main reasons is the digital world, AI, algorithms, social media. So at FitGen, we're working to target this issue. So we're trying to educate next generation. So we've got a digital toolkit that we can use to teach the kind of future generations about the digital world, and that's kind of a dynamic document where we can add stuff, and we're going to deliver workshops on that. And then the side that I'm really interested in is the campaigning side. You can educate all you want, but at the end of the day, if tech platforms and the digital world isn't built for young people, and in most cases is built at the expense and um, they're designed really without thinking about the impact of young people's mental health, then it's never going to have a positive impact. So we're campaigning to make the changes that we want to see, and through that we're building the Forest Coalition. So it's a coalition of um, young people, organizations, who are coming together to call for these changes that we want to see. So, ban to addictive features for under 16s, all these harmful things that we know are causing so much harm to young people, and their mental health. And we're campaigning to try and to regulate them. And so the new role I've been recently appointed director of youth at FlipGen, and it's so exciting because it's a very new organization, and I've been involved probably 6, 7, 8 months now. But as soon as I had that first conversation, I kind of fell in love with what it stood for, and I've loved kind of doing the podcast there and loved working on it. And yeah, it's amazing to have that formal kind of role in it now and be able to use my experiences as a young person to kind of center young people and center what young people are going through, and make sure that that is kind of at the heart of what FlipGen and Forest do, now, but also in the years to come.
That is such a wonderful overview of FlipGen, and I think it's wonderful that you now have that role and you're stepping into that and being able to play more of a leadership role that you already were playing, honestly, because I feel like your name has been all over everything FlipGen, which is wonderful, but now it is that more formal role, so it's very exciting. Can you tell me about the Hero Project? This is something that we talked about a little bit, I think, when you came on last time, but I feel like it's just been everywhere, when you launched and when it went out on LinkedIn. It was all over my feed, everyone was posting, so exciting. So can you talk a little bit about that too?
Yeah, it's really another really exciting thing, and we're working on it. So Chloe, Wesley kind of founded the Hero Project and brought me on as campaign manager, and kind of gave me free rein. She put a lot of confidence in me, um, and we built the Hero Project. So, kind of a youth mentoring organization designed to, help all young people realize that they are the heroes of their own story, and they can all, whatever they're going through, there is hope and there is a way out of it. And, life has ups and downs, but in the end, um, there is always going to be ups, as well as those downs, even though it might not feel like it. So we launched the Compass, I can remember, a couple of months ago now. And it's a email mentoring service. So every week, young people get an email written by me or Chloe, kind of using our experiences again and we work with psychologists on it to make sure that it's grounded in psychology, but using our real world experience or what would have helped us when we were at our lowest points, to just try and give people that kind of pick me up, I guess, and that inspiration when life seems like it's really tough. And one at the heart of it is kind of that honesty that life can be rubbish, and it doesn't necessarily, like, life can be rubbish even if you've not got a mental health condition, and people can struggle with their mental health even if they don't have OCD or depression. And we really want to target those people who possibly don't know that they've got a mental health condition and don't really know what mental health is, and that kind of, again, is that early intervention and making sure that people really understand how to look after themselves mentally before it kind of spirals and it gets to a point where it is a diagnosable mental health condition, and then it's much harder to kind of to treat and to, I say, recover from. It's harder to work on from that point. But if we can get it early and get young people understanding their mental health, even if they don't know the words and they don't need to know what mental health is, but just understanding what kind of makes them tick, what helps them stay on that kind of positive road, then I think that's really important. That's what we're trying to do.
I love that. I think the support of your launch, and I think it was that idea that so many people have a hard time talking about mental health because they might not feel like I have a diagnosed condition or I haven't struggled in that formal way. I guess I'm putting that in air quotes for the people that are listening. But I think having this framing as everyone is a hero, everyone might struggle with something, and life is hard for everyone, unfortunately, in some way or another, and just acknowledging that, and that's okay. Like, we all need to talk about it more. I think that that's what you've done so wonderfully, and I think that's why so many people have really taken to it, and it's been wonderful to see it grow. Tell me about the table tennis tournament. We did talk about this when you came on the last time, but it is almost here, which is very exciting. Tell me about that. Are you looking forward to it? Talk a little bit about how you came up with the idea. Give me the whole scoop.
Yeah, no, I am looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to 9:01 next Saturday when it's finished, and hopefully I've made it. But it's been kind of something I've thought about for a long time. I think I've always wanted to do one of these challenges, but I just every time I run, I think I can't run for like more than an hour. So I'm like, I can't. I ruled that out, and I love playing table tennis, and table tennis has always been that release for me. I remember when I was at my lowest point in kind of 2021, 2022, and that I used to play table tennis on Wednesday evening, and that was kind of a couple of hours of kind of serenity in my head that was like crashing waves. And so I wanted to kind of incorporate that. I've been thinking about doing a 12-hour table tennis match or something similar. And then after the election last year, I got put in touch with my local community and youth hub, and we've been working with young people to develop better mental health support for them in my town. My town is kind of a typical town, really, but there's a lot of young people crying out for mental health support, and the support just isn't there, and the waiting lists are really high. And so we've been working with them, and we have kind of an end goal, a dream of having the hub open from 9 in the morning till 9 at night for mental health support kind of all week round. So I thought what better to do than play table tennis from 9 until 9. And I thought what better to do about, 6 months ago. And now I've been thinking, is there a way I can like do a relay or something? But now I'm doing 12 hours. I bought myself some shoes and like supportive, and I'm just like, it's 12 hours of my life. And, I think I joke, but I've been there when, you don't feel like life's gonna get better and you're completely hopeless, and I know that the pain and the, aching in my legs from playing table tennis for 12 hours is nothing compared to that, and it's nothing compared to the people who are struggling kind of every day without kind of hope of um, getting support. And so, yeah, I think just remembering why I'm doing it, and every single like penny raise is going to go into helping fund the kind of campaign and fund the mental health support. I'm excited to do it, and it's also a talking point. I want people to talk about the mental health there. I want people to see that it is a challenge, but I want that message to be like, yeah, it is painful, but it's nothing compared to what people go through every day. So it should be fun. I've got loads of people signed up. Some are like league players. Some can barely hold a bat, but that's not the point. The point is that I'm going to be stood up for 12 hours at a table and hopefully raise some money for the hub, which is exciting.
That is exciting, and if this is coming out Wednesday, you'll be doing it, is it Friday or Saturday?
Saturday, so it's on the 11th. So as part of it, we're launching an antisocial social club on Friday evenings for those people who another problem is that the young people's loneliness, and so we want to create a space where young people who are struggling with loneliness can come, and those people who don't like to go out to the pub and don't like to go out and you know get drunk or do that kind of thing, they can come for a safe space and play some pool, darts, Dungeons and Dragons, and just have a time to chill out and get out and speak to people and make friends. So we're launching that on the Friday, and then the table tennis on the Saturday.
That is so exciting. I think that is such a good idea, and everyone will have to check it out on Saturday. You'll have to post a bunch, and
Yeah,
I'll
will
add
be.
everybody to your Instagram so they can follow along, but
Okay.
so exciting. So, let's talk about the podcast. This has been something that we have been talking about for a couple of weeks, but I feel like we moved very quickly with it. You are obviously so passionate about this work, so it made it very easy. I would love for you to talk about your podcast and what people can expect to hear on the podcast. Give me the full story.
Yeah, thank you. It's so exciting. It's Yeah, something I'm so passionate about. So it's called Now We're Really Talking, and I really want to dive deep into mental health conversations and mental health journeys, and kind of explore those things that aren't often explored online, on social media, on podcasts, because I've had the kind of privilege of campaigning and meeting so many amazing people who you talk about your mental health and you talk about kind of how you struggled and what's helped. And that I've learned so much from that. I've learned kind of so much about myself, about the world, about mental health, about mental illness. And I kind of thought, you know, I'm very lucky. I wouldn't be who I am today without these conversations, and I really want to open those conversations up to as many people as possible because I think they're so powerful, and so many people have been through so much, and you can learn that there's things that you can only learn through other people's experience that you can't learn through a textbook or you can't learn through a video, and like an educational video. And so I want to open those conversations up. So yeah, I'm going to be talking to a different person each week. Each person has a different kind of story to tell around their mental health, and from completely loads of different demographics, loads of different ages, backgrounds. But the kind of one thing in common is that they have this story, and we're going to be diving really deep. And we'll touch kind of campaigning, and I want to kind of look at the impact of mental health on the rest of their lives. So sometimes campaigning or work or that kind of thing. But the kind of basis is how has mental health impacted their lives and how have they been able to kind of cope and get through it. So yeah, we've recorded a couple of guests so far, and it's been incredible because also it's I've learned so much from them, and really dive deep and cover topics that the reason I set out, I want to cover topics that aren't necessarily talked about and are even still taboo and stigmatized in the mental health world. And the only way to make them less taboo is by talking about them. And so yeah, it's been really incredible to do that.
That sounds wonderful, and I think that we need to be having a lot more of these conversations. You're doing it with the Hero Project, and now I think being able to do it with this platform where you can have these really open, honest conversations with people that often we don't hear. Everyone that I've told about your podcast so far has said, "That's such a great idea. Why don't we see more of this?" So, I'm super excited to listen to it and to be able to share it and support you with this because I think it is just something that we really need in the podcasting space, but just in our world more broadly. So, yeah, it's going to be wonderful. And everyone should go check out that first episode. And now I want to move on to that last question that I asked you the first time. And this is the signature Be the Change podcast question, but I wonder if you'll have a different answer than you had the first time. Lots of young people want to create change and make a difference, but they might not know how to get started with that work. What advice would you want to share with those people who might be listening?
I think for me, I'd just say go out and do it, whether you think it's a small action and build up. It doesn't have to be a big action. It can be a small kind of um it can be as small as just posting something on social media. I think we forget as young people what the importance. Talked about kind of flip gen earlier and the negative sides of social media, but one of the positive sides is that you have access, even if you've got 100 followers, that goes directly out to 100 people. Imagine standing in a room and talking to 100 people. And I'd also say, from my point of view, that first step to do it is really, really hard. And putting yourself out there is the hardest thing. But it's so much easier after you've done that, and it's so worth it. I remember like starting a podcast, I was really scared of doing it, but then we had a conversation and I kind of thought, yeah, I can do this. And now I feel like I'm confident in doing it. I go back to 3, 4 years ago, and I always like telling the story because you never know the impact of one message. I'd done a little bit of campaigning, but I didn't know where to go next. And I got introduced to Young Minds, and I wasn't going. I forgot to apply, and then the night before or the day that it kind of closed applications, my friend messaged me and told me to do it, and I applied, and then everything else has spiraled from there. So I'd say don't be like me and wait for somebody to message. Just put yourself out there and take that first step. And if it isn't for you, it isn't for you. But you never know until you put yourself out there, and be confident and realize how much power your voice has and how much you can use your voice if you really want to.
It was so wonderful to talk with Paddy, and if you'd like to hear more from Paddy, you are in luck because you can check out the first episode of Now We're Really Talking right now, wherever you're listening to this podcast. I would love for you to head over and listen to Paddy's first episode right now, but before you leave this episode, I want to encourage you to keep that advice that Paddy shared in mind, especially when it comes to just doing it and taking a risk, because you never know what might happen if you send that text, write that email, attend that meeting, or apply for that opportunity. Change comes when you put yourself out there. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and you can find Paddy on Instagram and LinkedIn, and I included those links in the description of this episode, as well as the links to listen to Now We're Really Talking. If you want to talk about anything I mentioned, please reach out to me by email at lily@bethechangepodcast.org or on Instagram at Be The Change Media Network. I am working on expanding Be The Change Media Network, which means bringing you more inspiring stories from amazing guests and inspiring hosts like Paddy. If you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you could leave the podcast a rating and a comment, because it will help these stories to reach, educate, and inspire more people. And I would also love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Tune in for my next episode, but until then, be the change you wish to see in the world. Bye, guys!